Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. Yes, I am late. I am sorry. And good to see all of you here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. The Jaybefaunt channel. Morning. What in the hell? See, here's the thing. I got to rap with y'all for a second. Hang on. I'm not going to do my regular intro. We're gonna talk about something for a second. I am not in my element today. Today is just one of those days. It is one of those days, and look, baby, I'm tired. I am tired. I know you are too. That's why you probably sitting here and you probably got a bowl of something, or you got a sip of something because you feel it too. I know you feeling it right now. It's just water. So needless to say, the way I'm feeling today, I know you feeling it too, baby. Anywho, while I'm at it, to get all this stuff out of the way, if you guys have not already, you guys can go to my Substack so you guys can go and get email notifications whenever I go live, upload clips, or write any articles. Also, if you guys know, I'm also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you guys can see me there on Sundays and Thursdays. If you guys now have already, you guys also know that I am also on major podcast platforms. So go ahead, subscribe there as well. And if you guys have not, please go ahead, like the stream. That pushes me out into the algorithm. I'm going to say hello to people. And guess what? We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A at first because I haven't done these in a while. And I felt, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do a Q&A. You know, because honestly, I haven't done it in so long. It's been so long. And so I was like, why not? And I'll be doing one news story today because I'm going to be honest with you. Real talk. It's been a long weekend. Long weekend. And then on top of it, I got up earlier than I wanted to today. And I had to run some errands. You know what I mean, right? Anyway. So I'm going to go into the chat. We're going to say hello to everybody. And then we're going to, if you guys have any type of questions that you want to ask, go ahead and ask them. Put it in the chat. Because I want to, just chat with you guys for a second. And then we'll get into our primary story. So just to let you guys know what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be doing a Q&A chat with me. And then we're going to be getting into our primary story about gang war that's going on in Haiti. We're going to be talking about that. That's going to be our primary story. But for right now, let's get into just saying hello and just get into the chat. We have Desert Man is coming in and saying, hey, JB fans. Fans? I don't have fans. I have viewers, but I don't have No. You give me way too much credit, Desert Mantis. I don't have fans. I just have viewers. Thank you, though. Sakudo coming in saying, you're all right. Good to see you. Jack Hemmings coming in saying, hi, everyone. Good to see you also here as well. Miguel coming in saying, peace. Good to see you, Miguel. Also, we have Retro Gamer coming in. Good to see you. Roger Meadows says, JB operating on CP time. Look, today is just one of those days. Just one of those days that I want to be all alone. Just wait inside. Don't want to take it out on you. Remember that song from Monica? I'm taking y'all back. Just one of them days that a girl goes to. I just want to be all alone. Don't think I treat you wrong. Don't take it personal. Baby. No, let me stop because I'm going to make y'all ears bleed and y'all don't want that. You do not want me singing. Your ears are probably already bleeding right now. You might want to go seek medical intervention from my singing. That's the way it is. Anywho, good to see all of you here. I love how all y'all just start saying hello to everybody else, just like it is. Oh, beautiful. Anyway, the one who knows says, okay, it's not just me. Hey, new subscriber here. Glad to be here, by the way, of Savvy. Much love. Oh, hello. Welcome. I wish you caught me on better circumstances, but it is good to see you nonetheless. Nice to have you here joining as well. We have Trey Legal says, greetings, JB. Hello, Trey. Good to see you here as well. And yes, I know I'm a little bit behind, but it's okay. Worser things have happened in the world. We shall be fine. Mouse, come in right on time. Good to see you, Mouse. Nice to have you here. Miguel. You about to get me in trouble, and this ain't right. Don't do it. You know how my brain works. I'm trying to be professional. This is a family show, Miguel. Depending on the time. Kurt Moss coming in saying hi, everyone. Hey, JB. Good to see you, Kurt. Nice to have you also in the chat. Why the hell y'all watch this show? Sometimes I'll wonder. Retro Gamer says, Danny Haifong live tonight. Do Dissonance and Katie Halper on this afternoon, man. Oh, yeah. And yes, Retro Gamer. Also, Savvy's coming on tonight. Oh, by the way, while I have y'all here, come here. Listen, it is Savvy's birthday week. I want you guys to flood her mentions with happy birthday wishes. Just say, happy birthday, JB sent me. Okay? When you guys go into Savvy tonight, say, happy birthday, JB sent me. Oh, yes, it's going to be so fun. Oh, that's going to be fun. Why is my camera is like the top of my head is cut off? Even though I didn't get to do my hair. I'm looking busted, but I'm still happy to see you. Anyway, but yeah, that is also great. Who else? Who else I didn't get to say hello to? Wait. Okay. Trey says, what is the story behind your politicization process? Forgive me if you've answered this before. Okay. So you want to know how I got to where I am right now? How much time you got, Trey? Because we can get into it. Okay. God, I love this ice. Anywho, so how did I get to where I'm at? So there once was a young man named JB, and this young man was very deeply religious. I was in a very strong religious organization, Jehovah's Witness. I was raised in it. And so I ended up leaving, technically. And so upon my departure, I always had this inkling of being interested in politics. It was 2018, and Florida was in a gubernatorial election year. And there was the Florida primaries that were happening, the Florida gubernatorial primaries, Democratic primaries. And so I was in the interwebs, and I started seeing shows like Secular Talk, The Rational National, Humanist Report, The Young Turks, and they were basically talking about things like Medicare for all. And they were talking about the 2016 elections and Bernie Sanders, which I remember some friends on Facebook talking about. And so I was keenly interested in it because I heard Medicare for all. Everybody gets health care. I was like, what? Colored me shocked. So once I found out about that, I found out that there was a man running for governor, Andrew Gillum, that was running on Medicare for all. I was like, ah, what do you know? So he was running. And then who, of all people, endorsed him during the primaries? Was it not the Democratic Socialist patron saint, Bernie Sanders? Yes, it was. He endorsed Andrew Gillum. And so I was like, wow, okay. And Andrew Gillum seemed to be the only Democrat that was really headed in that direction. So I was like, why? Why not? Okay, cool. So once I started getting behind Andrew Gillum, we were transitioning into the general. Andrew Gillum won the Democratic primary. And then as soon as he got into the general, who endorsed him? That's right. That's right. Brunhilde herself, Hillary Rodham Clinton, decided to also back Andrew Gillum. And what did Andrew Gillum do? He did a moonwalk uh, uh, away from Medicare for all. So needless to say, a lot of the people in what I like to call now the independent legacy media, but a lot in left indie media, they actually walked away from Andrew Gillum. But at the same time, they were like, well, we don't want Ron DeSantis, so we're still going to have to vote for Andrew Gillum, but we don't like him anymore. So it's like, ew, Andrew Gillum. You know, needless to say, 2018, that came and went. Then 2020, Bernie Sanders made a huge announcement. And so then he started running. And so I went on the Bernie train. And you guys all know that story. I'm not going to relitigate everything that happened with Bernie. And that put a bad taste in my mouth. And I started looking at the way the system was, because a lot of times people kept talking. It all started off with me talking about how I want a Nordic style, European style social democracy, because I thought that was going to be the best system for us. Until communists started coming into my DM saying, ha ha, yeah, that's not how it goes, brother. Because then once you have that system, somebody else on the back end is going to suffer, especially people who are in, the global south, right? Like look at Mali, right? Mali has all these gold mines, but they don't have any gold reserves. Meanwhile, a social democracy like France has many gold reserves, but no gold mines. Or just like with Niger. Niger has all this uranium for nuclear power plants, but a huge majority of their country does not have nuclear power. They don't have electricity, period. Yet all that uranium is being sent and given to the nuclear power plants in France. So that really just woke me up to the thriving social democracies that they literally have to exploit people in the global south in order to have that social democracy that they so love. So, learning more from comrades at RBN and learning more from comrades like Lee Camp, Danny Haifong, Margaret Kimberly, and learning from so many comrades within this independent media space. Oh, shout out to JT from Second Thought too, and helping me to understand. And also shout out to my family at Midwestern Marks. You may not agree with everything that some people may say, but at the same time, ultimately, they are also for a system that actually favors the people, the workers, the poor. And so that's where my transition came. And so that's where I am today. is that I do not believe that a capitalist system is conducive for the survival of humanity, nor the survival of the species on this planet, both animal and plant. Because when you have a system that that has to grow infinitely on a planet with finite resources, then it is not going to work. On top of it, you have a lot of people who are suffering right now due to a system that is no longer conducive for all of us. So that's why I've gotten to the point where I'm at. So if anybody is wondering why I'm at, and also I have moved more pro-black, as it were, also in my evolution too. Shout out to Afeni for that one, for helping me there. So I have also moved into that direction. And so because of that, that's what influences my opinion today. It is anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist. It is pro-humanity. And by pro-humanity, I mean people who are marginalized, right? Because the thing is that a lot of the people that are marginalized because we live in a system of exploitation. Whether it's women, disabled people, neurodivergent, LGBTQ, immigrants, Black people, especially those of us who are descendants of slaves in this part of Turtle Island. And then I also have solidarity with my immigrant brothers and sisters too. That's what influences how I see the world. So, just to answer your question, I know that took a long time, but thank you for asking that question, Trey. Let me see here. Mastermind Hour. You in here? Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Good to see you too. V coming in saying, Olaf D. Dotier. Good to see you. Saying, peace. All right. Good to see you. Yeah, Retro Gamer. The thing is about Tuesdays and Thursdays is that I have dialysis on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. So unfortunately, these are really the days that are best for me. Once I get a transplant, though, I'll probably be able to switch it up, though. Do any of you guys eat ice? I do. But yeah. Quantum Alchemist says, hi, JB in chat. Hello, Quantum Alchemist. Good to see you. Let me see. Who else we got? When is your birthday? June 29th, baby. That's right. Yes. June 29th, a.k.a. cancer season. That's right. Look, water your plants, water yourselves, baby. I'm a water guy. That's my element. Oh my goodness. All right. The Maverick says the Maverick isn't sent. The Maverick relays. Ha ha. Good to see you, Maverick. Waddy, good to see you. Waddy, I got something to tell you. Okay. So I always end up seeing you at the end of my streams. I don't get to see because I'm so busy like looking at other screens and stuff. So I don't get to see you as often as I would like to, but good to see you in the chat. Nice to have you. Just wanted to say that. Jeffrey Long says, JB, what a banger. Good to see you, Jeffrey. Okay, nice to have you. Savitha coming in saying, hey, Miguel, what's up? Good to see you, Savitha. Let me see. By the way, we are doing a Q&A right now before we get into our primary story. So good to see all of you here. Mortal Mikado, I'm going to star your chat for the primary story, just letting you know. So I'm not skipping it. I'm just starring it for the chat for when I do go back to the chat for my primary story. So just letting you know. Mouse says I was always semi-radicalized, but Bill Clinton them exited me for good. You know what? The thing about Bill Clinton is that Bill Clinton was really the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end for what? For a lot of people that were more Democrat Party reformist. A lot of people said, you know what, I'm out. But what happened in 2008? 2008, we got Barack Obama. Barack Obama was really a way to implement more conservative right-wing policies into the Democratic Party, as well as implement more conservative thought and position and really acquiescence into the Black community. Here's what I mean. We will now sit here and make excuses for what Obama did simply because, well, he was our first Black president. Look what he did for us. I'm going to give you an example. And thank you very much for reminding me of this, Mouse. I did a tweet, right? What was it? Sunday, I think it was. And so this tweet I did was really about what I like to call a villain that people typically just do not think to be a villain. Well, at least a lot of people who aren't as politically astute, or they are politically astute, but they are politically astute in the realm of being propagandized. I'll put it that way. So here is the tweet. Post a villain who people treat like a hero. I put Barack Obama. Now, of course, somebody also did George Washington, right? So, of course, right? But I did this. The tweet got 8.9 million views, 93,000 likes, 16,000 retweets, right? And a ton of comments, right? And somebody was like, well, how was Obama that bad? He wasn't that bad, at least, from my experience. And I was like, well, he destroyed Black wealth. And I, linked an article to the Jacobin magazine about how Obama destroyed Black wealth. But I had a ton of people come into my mentions, go, well, he's the one that legalized gay marriage. So you got a rainbow flag in your bio. You're not being appreciative of Obama for putting rainbow flag, gay marriage, right? For legalizing gay marriage. Number one, Obama did not legalize gay marriage. The legalization of gay marriage across the board. Yes, by the way, I'm LGBTQ. Yeah. Anywho, the legalization of gay marriage was implemented by the Supreme Court. It was not voted on by voters. It was not passed legislatively in the House or Senate. It was only implemented by the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, some states did legalize it, right? I think it was Massachusetts, California, right? But a majority of the country did not have gay marriages legalized. With that being said, the Supreme Court said gay marriages should just be legal. And so when that happened, basically a lot like Roe v. Wade, it was legalized through the Supreme Court. So guess what? That means it was not done through the democratic process, which I say, yes, legalize gay marriage, right? But at the same time, are we going to codify it into law? I would hope so, because most people actually are now for gay marriage. Like, if you look at polls, they're like 55 to 60% of Americans are like, yeah, gay marriage should be legal. And it's going up as the years progress, right? It's cool, right? My thing is, why aren't they codifying that into law? Because they want to hold that over our heads, just like Roe v. Wade. Because Roe v. Wade was not codified into law either. And it still hasn't been codified into law. But people who say that I call Obama a villain, he is a villain. What happened? What happened right when he became president elect? Who did he put in his cabinet? Wasn't it people like Paul Volcker, Tim Geithner, all these people who are Wall Street stooges that were placed into his cabinet? And, after what happened in the 2007 collapse that went into 2008, what happened with President Obama when he had the chance to take money and just put it in the hands of homeowners? What did he do? He put it in the hands of the banks instead. Why not just give it to them? Why not just give it to the homeowners? Because the banks were going to get the money anyway, but Obama decided, no, I'm just going to skip the people and give it straight to the corporate banks. And the corporate banks end up still foreclosing on homes anyway. Does that make any sense to you? So who lost? The banks won, but the people lost. And then on top of that, turning 2 wars into 7 wars, we had the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan. That's what we had. Then he turned into 7. So when it comes to people like Barack Obama, he is a villain. He just looks like somebody who you wouldn't think is a villain. So yeah. So a lot of us, yes, Mouse, you said you were radicalized by Bill Clinton. A lot of us were radicalized by Barack Obama. Because when Bill Clinton came to office, I was a kid. And by the time he left office, I was a teen. So, yeah. Oh my God, Jeffrey. JB, always the smoothest criminal, stole Tim Black's cornbread. You want your cornbread? You gonna eat your cornbread? Oh gosh. I don't steal people's cornbread. I only serve cornbread, baby. That's how I roll. And then I'm gonna give you some butter and some honey on the side just to put it on your cornbread. That's how I roll. I don't steal cornbread, baby. Thank you, though. Thank you. All right. Jack Hemming said, did anyone hear that the Australian Prime Minister is being referred to the ICC for enabling the genocide in Gaza? That's interesting. That's also, yeah, I didn't hear that, but I'm happy that a lot of Western governments are now being called out, right? What South Africa did in regards to Israel set a precedent. So now it is becoming more. It's becoming more easier to go up against Western powers, Zionist powers, because people see right through the BS. So you look at countries like what I talked about last week in regards to Ireland, how they are now wanting the Irish Senate, but essentially is trying to sanction Israel, which I say, please go ahead. Then on top of it, a couple of weeks back, when I talked about Julius Malema proposing that South Africa not only close the Israeli embassy, but also close the U.S. embassy, I actually stand behind that as well. Because when you have countries that are committing genocide or funding genocide, they should not get any type of warm regard, any type of diplomacy. They need to get the diplomatic cold shoulder. And I feel this way in regards to countries like the United States, France, Canada, Germany, and all the other Western nations that are complicit in genocide. And so that's what I see. That's how I feel. And it's a relief that this is happening, right? I think I'm going to try to talk about this on Saturday, but Nicaragua, they are now trying to take Germany to the International Court of Justice as well for their complicity in genocide in Gaza. So Nicaragua said, hey, yeah, you're not innocent. We're taking you to court too. So I'm like, you know what? Good on them. Good on them. I'm waiting for Mexico to make some moves now. AMLO, come on, do your thing, bro. Go ahead. Take some other people to court. Do it to France. I don't care. Go ahead. Take them to court. Same thing for Brazil. Take them to court. Do your thing. Because the thing is that ultimately we have to call out this genocide. And are we going to talk about the genocide happening in Congo? The genocide happening in Sudan? Right? There's massacres that are happening in Ethiopia right now. And a lot of times these massacres that we see are Western-backed, US-backed massacres that are happening in a means to destabilize the regions in order to take control of the land, to take control of the resources. I said it before and I'll say it again. Always, always follow the money. Do not stop following the money, because follow the money and the resources. Because once you do that, you'll discover the truth. Just like how we discovered the truth here on this channel when we talked about how, according to a UN report, there are millions of tons of liquefied natural gas and oil in the surrounding area of Gaza and the West Bank. There's a reason why they want that land, right? And just like there's a reason why they want the land in Gaza and the West Bank in Palestine, there's a reason why they want to destabilize the land in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Why? Because there's gold, diamonds, cobalt, and coltan. That's why they have the slave labor that's happening there. Oh, you don't think that this isn't the same reason why what's going on in Haiti, which we're going to go into? Oh, you best believe that's what's going on in Haiti, right? Why in the world did you think we were in Iraq? I'm sorry, pronunciation. Iraq. Why were we there? Why were we in Afghanistan? Why is there a means to destabilize Libya? All this is in order to take over the land, in order to take over the resources so that they can make more money. That's all it is. Kurt Boss says sometimes Hollywood makes great films like Judas and the Black Messiah, so you end up rewatching it over and over. It's not perfect, but better than Spider-Man. Yeah. In fact, that was one of the movies that I watched right before RBN was RBN. It was Fred Hampton Leftist. I actually watched that movie before, so yeah, that was a pretty good movie. Um, so yeah. Oh, Jeffrey Long says Billy Bragg brought me here. Even socialist surf call me the marksman. Shout out to Billy Bragg. Billy Bragg does good work over there too. Thank you so very much. Any other questions you guys have before I get into the primary story? Just let me know. We got Janice Anderson coming in the chat, coming in saying hello. Good to see you. Let me see. Oh, wait. Hold on. Sakudo, you asked two questions. First, you said, do you know how to shoot dice? Or what? Oh, the other thing. I got to be careful what I say on here, but I'm learning. Sakudo also says, how do you feel about 4chan? Never been on there. I heard that there's a lot of right-wing people who are very confused. Ultimately, a lot of people. Okay, I'm gonna say something kind of controversial. I don't know if it's controversial, but stay with me here. A lot of people's opinions about certain ideologies, especially on the left, a lot of people's ideologies are based on propaganda and lies that were told. It's just like, for instance, a lot of people we know now that the natives, the indigenous people of this land, they were not savages, right? They just wanted to live in peace and not have their land stolen from them, right? But at the time, what were we told? That they were savages. Why? Because human beings have hearts. And so they know if they actually told the truth, well, we would identify with why the Native Americans were fighting back. Why are the Palestinians being demonized right now, including the resistance? Because if you actually were to know why, the real reason why Israel is leading the campaign that it's leading, then you would identify and you would have more solidarity with the Palestinian people and the resistance. You're going to also hear about this when I start talking about Haiti. Why was the Viet Cong demonized so much during the Vietnam War? Because if you knew that they were just a bunch of rice farmers, and agricultural workers that were just trying to protect their land and stay independent, then you would identify with them and express more solidarity with them. See, it all goes back to who is trying to strip power away from the people. They have, they have to make you complicit in it by making you think that the people who are actually defending their rights are in the wrong. That's what they have to do. They have to make it seem like they are doing horrible things. It's just like with the whole thing of, oh my God, they're committing sexual assault. When in reality, that was never actually proven. So they have to make it just like this. It's the same thing with the 48 beheaded babies, right? They have to make it seem like, oh my God, they're doing all these horrible things, right? This is the they're hurting puppies and kittens argument in order to get you on board to commit atrocities, to consent to committing atrocities, because you wouldn't do otherwise. You would not consent to otherwise. That's how it works. You have to demonize the person. Instead of telling the truth about them, you have to tell lies about them in order to make it seem like, oh, well, it's justified. It's just like with the enhanced interrogation techniques that were done in Guantanamo Bay. Why were we doing it? Oh, well, it was because of the terrorists and blah, blah, blah. But if the thing is that but here's the question. Why are some people led to doing extreme acts against this country? Is it simply because, oh, well, they just hate us for our freedoms? Is it that? Because from the way I've seen it, and from the way history has actually panned out, is that they're sick and tired of this country always putting his grubby little hands in everybody's business. Look, there was a song that came out. Was it say 2022, maybe 2023? And you black people who are online, you probably know it. Stay the fuck out of black people's business. Stay the fuck out of black people's business. Stay the fuck out of black people's business. Black people business. Black people business. The United States does not know how to stay the hell out of the business of other nations because they want their resources. And so they'll do whatever it takes to destabilize that area in order so that these corporations can actually have those resources. This is one of the reasons why what's going on is going on right now. When the United States says that they're there to restore democracy or restore order, it's not actually to do that. It's not to restore, it's to line the pockets of the corporations because that's who ultimately runs things. So when I say that people have the ideologies or a lot of times the beliefs based on inaccuracies, lies that are told, I mean it. Because sometimes people will say, for instance, why are people against LGBTQ rights a lot of times? Because people are lied to. They have to lie to you in order to take our humanity away. Why are immigrants always demonized? Because you have to take their humanity away in order to justify doing atrocious things to them. Why are black people always demonized? Because you have to take our humanity away in order to justify committing atrocities against us. whenever somebody makes claims about a group of people, especially when it's generalized, watch out. Be careful. I'm telling you, baby. I'm telling you. All right. But yeah, that's what I think about some people in 4chan. A lot of times they're confused because they think that the world operates in a certain way when in reality, and a lot of times they're trying to survive, but they're constantly told, oh, this person's your enemy or that person's your enemy, when in reality, the person that's telling you that's your enemy, those are actually the people who are actually your enemy, because they're the ones who are telling you, they're literally taking your hands, putting in your pockets and going, hey, see that guy over there? He's the one who's taking all your money. He's the one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just took it. He just took your last $5. Go ahead, chase him down. And then you go and chase him. And this person goes, put their hands in their pockets, put your $5 in their pocket. That's ultimately what it is. Yes, Desert Mantis. Oh my goodness. Let me go. Alexis, good to see you. Says you share a B-Day with my mom, or you did, as she has passed on. I'm very sorry, Alexis. But yes, yeah. It is a privilege. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. Thank you. Victor Devan says, I'm finally getting catch JB stream. Yes, you are, Victor. All right. Nice to see you in here as well. Quantum Alchemist says, the thing with astrology is you have to have a proper birth chart. Get your birth date to the minute and longitude and latitude. Your birth month is merely what's called your sun sign in astrology. I am a Cancer sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus. I'm a Pisces rising, and I'm a Mars Scorpio. Is that good enough? I don't read too deeply into it, but you know what I mean? I know this stuff, so that gives you anything. All right, so a couple more, and we will get into the primary story. Yes. Savita says Galloway was still ahead when of his time. I guess ahead of his time. Yeah. George Galloway also won his election. Good for him. I'm happy for him. Especially he is deeply pro-Palestinian. George Galloway is also, deeply he's against the genocide. That's for damn sure. So I am very happy for him. George Galloway is a firebrand in a good way. The Quantum Alchemist says, interesting combination. Very interesting. See why you're watching me now? Oh my goodness. Quick one. Pizza or burgers? I'm not answering that question because I don't want to answer that question because I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't want to choose. That's all. All right. So let me check the Rockfin just to see if there's any questions there. Yes. Got some questions on the Rockfin. Let me go there really quick. Do 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 do. All right, let's go into the rock. Let me see. Anna says, "Hey JB, thank you for the puppy video." Yes. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I shared a puppy video. I loved it. Says you see that horrible Nation article yesterday saying, New England stand your ground law puts us all in danger in pulling on Trayvon Martin. My God, it was awful. Oh, Nebraska? Nebraska got a stand your ground law now? Ooh, that's not good. Well, okay. It's not good as far as we are concerned, especially people who look like me. Stand your ground law, it's not good. But it's good for depending on what you look like. I'll put it that way. Thank you so very much. And thank you so very much, fellow Cancer Anna. Roger, thank you for the $2 tip. He says, I want to say this to all ones calling themselves revolutionists, not calling out people with YouTube shows, but in general in social media who are talking about picking up a on the right or left, yet want to skip exhausting all the tools and weapons in their toolboxes, like citizen ballot initiatives that say pick up a and start the revolution. People, if you're not willing to die or take a life, then shut the F up. Agreed. Roger also says, I am trying to do something where you won't have to risk your life or take a life. Try direct democracy first. You'll find those who talk about revolution picking up a are the first to drop their guns and run. Ooh. While the people who are too afraid to are the first to. Nebraska is the only state to have state power, public power. They got it through CBI in 1931. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that to respond to what you said, Roger, is I also think that pushing for like different ballot initiatives, things like that, is a positive thing. As you know, especially when it comes to mitigating the disasters that these corporations and their political stooges try to do against us. So you're mitigating the disaster through that, through, and you don't have to go through politicians. You basically circumvent the politicians in that way. So that's something that I am in agreement with. And also trying to build dual power and using the apparatuses that we have at present in order to help us build dual power is also a important thing as well. So yes, and then also, you know, to be honest with you, some people they say they're about it, but when push comes to shove, when the Glocks come out, they ain't really about it. But also, let's be real. What is a revolution? In fact, let me learn you something very quick. What is a revolution? So there's a couple of there is a couple of definitions for revolution. But the key word in revolution is revolve or re-evolve. So let's go ahead here. So a lot of people, what people constitute as revolution, they say a forcible overthrow of government or social order in favor of a new system, right? Is synonymous with rebellion, revolt, insurrection, mutiny, uprising, rioting, so on and so forth, right? Now, number two is an instance of revolving. So it is the movement of an object in a circular or elliptical course around another or about an axis or center, a single orbit of one object around another or about an axis or center. So a revolve or revolution, right, also could mean a turning around, a 180, if you will, right? For instance, when the earth turns, it has a revolution. That being said, it is a turning around. Is that just limited to, when we talk about revolution, is that limited to just violence? No. The violent part typically comes from when the state itself feels that it is being threatened to being taken out of power, so it has to react violently in order to maintain that power. Typically, revolutionaries actually start off very peaceful. It's the state that ends up committing the violence, and then the revolutionaries end up having to self-defend in order so that they don't die, so they can keep the revolution going. That's basically what it is. But that being said, when it comes to revolution, it's not just people who are militants in the field, right? It's also people that are willing to teach, willing to take care of, right? Because just like in any other government, our government is not comprised of just the defense department, is there? No, there's also governments that foresee things like housing, things like healthcare, things like education. So when it comes to people talking about revolution, it is not just limited to violence. It is also a means of turning around within other different apparatuses in regards to our education, whether in regards to our healthcare, in regards to many other different ways that we would like to see a change in the system. So when people say we want a revolution, they're not just talking about wanting violence, right? We're talking about a walking away from that violence, because people like myself feel and have the opinion that homelessness is violence, hunger is violence, lack of education is violence. The wars that are constantly being perpetuated by our country is violence. That's basically what it is. So, and a lot of times people will praise the Revolutionary War, emphasis on the word revolution, that happened in 1776. But then when you start talking about a revolution now, it's like, oh, we can't do that. Well, why not? And by revolution, I'm talking about a changing into something that is more conducive, that walks away from a money-centered society to a people-centered society. That's what I mean. People-centered, not money-centered. So, with that being said, did you like the stream? Go ahead and give the stream a like. That pushes me out into the algorithm. So good to have all of you here watching. And if you guys have not also as well, you guys can subscribe to my Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com if you have not already. I would like to give a shout out to all the patrons on Patreon, Coffee, and the people who send me anything through PayPal. For without you guys, I would not be able to be here. I would not have this clean filtered water that you see before you today. I would not be able to be sitting here with this light on. See the light off. I just don't look as good. But you guys literally keep the lights on. Thank you. So with that being said, just want to give a big shout out to all of you for all that you do. And thank you so very much for the patrons on Patreon, Coffee, as well as on PayPal. And yes, I am still demonetized. So if you like to support the channel, you can support via Patreon or PayPal. So thank you so very much. With that being said, I'm going to share the tears. Why? Because that's just the type of guy I am. So we're going to share the tears so that you guys know what's what, if in case you decide you want to support the channel. And it's all up to you. You know what to do. All right, so let's go in here. So we have JB members, Solidarity, Comrades, JB Faunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, and Mega Jaybefaunters. So thank you very much for any of you who want to become any member of those tiers. And by the way, in addition to and furthermore, just want to give a shout out to new patron, that Negro Gemmin. Thank you so very much for being a patron on Patreon. It is deeply appreciated. Thank you very much. Now, on to our primary story for today. What are we going to be talking about? Gang war. There was a massive jailbreak in Haiti on Saturday, and over 4,000 inmates were released by gangs. They overwhelmed the police, and now the inmates are in the streets. There was also an attack in the airport in Port-au-Prince as well. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to take a look at what happened and how this is all connected. So let me see here. It's getting serious, y'all. Make sure. All right, let me share my screen really quick. Oops. It's not supposed to play yet. Okay. All right.
Stopped operating. No flights in or out. Paralyzed by gang violence like much of the country. A gang leader and former police officer, Jimmy Charizet, nicknamed Barbecue, has claimed responsibility for the attacks, saying the aim is to force the Prime Minister, Ariel to stand down. In an unusual move, the gangs are uniting to bring down the government, and analysts say this could be a turning point in Haiti's already tumultuous history.
So, from what we observe now is that the gangs actually want an ousting of Ariel Henry, who is the de facto president of Haiti, because they really just do not want him in power anymore. Now, if anybody knows, I actually covered this last year, and Henry is a U.S. puppet. So without saying that these gangs, and by the way, not all gangs are created equal within this situation, but the gangs, for the most part, do not want a U.S. puppet to be in charge of the country. Given Haiti's history with resisting Western powers and ousting France, it is really in their blood to want to have independence. So, yeah, let's continue.
The government gave us the weapons to fight with our brothers and sisters. Now we turn the guns against them to fight them because they don't do anything for us.
Gangs have overrun two of the main.
So, where did they get those weapons from? And now they don't want to turn it against each other. They want to go against the powers that are trying to oversee their country. What does this remind you of? Go ahead. There's a lot of countries you can actually say. But yeah, they want sovereignty, essentially.
Gangs have overrun two of the main prisons in the capital, releasing several thousand prisoners, including gang leaders. Gun battles are taking place in the streets.
Prisoners have escaped from several jails. It's miserable. The crisis is getting worse. Everywhere is unsafe. I can't find clients for my taxi to make money to feed my children. I'm an old man.
Nothing seems to be functioning here anymore. Thousands of people are fleeing their homes. Many are having to queue up to get clean water. Some tell Al Jazeera they haven't been able to find drinking water since Sunday.
We feel discouraged. We're fleeing. Our children can't go to school. We can't buy food. How can we live in such a situation? We're fighting our fellow Haitians while we're the same Haitian people.
The US administration has urged Americans to leave the country as soon as possible. Canada has closed its embassy, and some aid organizations have suspended their operations due to the dangerous situation.
Thank you very much.
The Prime Minister flew to Kenya last week to finalize a deal to set up a UN task force led by Kenya to help restore order. That triggered this latest crisis.
I have to be careful what I have to be careful about some of this footage.
On the ground to help authorities restore order, and the Prime Minister has yet to return. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera.
So that's what's going on at the moment. There is violence in the streets between gangs and government forces right now. But there's something I wanted to share as well. So a lot of the blame is going up against gangs themselves. They're being blamed for the violence. But when you speak to Haitians who are looking at it on the ground, there's more nuance to this situation. So I'm going to share this as well. Let me share this as well. Let me see. All right, so let's hear what she has to say.
Monique Klaska, you focused. You said on the criminals in white suits or in white shirts, but the focus in this in most of the media coverage about Haiti here in the United States is on the gangs in the street. Are all these gangs the same, or are there distinctions between them? Because some people claim that some are more political than some of the other gangs, especially, for instance, this Jimmy Cherizet and his group. How do you regard this situation on the street with these gangs?
I am here to say that the government, coming from, there are UN reports that have said that the former president of Haiti actually formed the gang and armed gangs. So since 2011, it has been a criminal regime that has armed the gangs. And now...
Oh! So, with that being said, that means that not all gangs are created equal. So, some of that destabilization that's going on is intentional. Huh. Let's continue. Gets deeper.
So since 2011, it has been a criminal regime that has armed the gangs. And now perhaps the gangs have felt stronger and they are going about in their, whatever it is, their criminal business. But the point I am making is the government, people in power, president, prime minister, ministers. There is even a document from the Yale Law School Clinic and human rights organization in Haiti that said it's a crime against humanity under Jovenel Moïse, the massacre in La Saline, where 71 people were killed. So we are talking about a construct. This is not something that happened out of the blue. These government officers, as well as prime minister, president, and some economic oligarchs, have financed the gangs, they have armed the gangs, they have given them even contracts to distribute food in neighborhoods, etc. So we must be clear that the gangs have been instrumentalized in the past, created, armed to terrorize us so that they could keep power. So now the gangs have gained their independence and maybe they have their political whatever. But I think the main culprit here is government that started to finance them, senators. A lot of them are under sanction for arming the gangs or for giving them money. A lot of the huge economic players in Haiti are also under sanction. Even a bank director is under sanction, even though it is not the United Nations sanctions. So let's be clear about this. There is no doubt in my mind about this, that the gangs with white shirts or whatever shirts and ties are also extremely involved, not only involved, but responsible for this. And the United States knows this. We have told this to Assistant Secretary Brian Nichols. We have told this to Barbara Feinstein at the State Department. We have told this to Dan Erickson, who is now at the White House. We have told this. The Biden administration knows this, that it is a criminal regime, that it is financing, that it is supporting, that it is helping to kill us. And
well, do you think that the Biden administration actually cares about the Haitian people? You can tell the Biden administration that, hey, you are literally funding criminals all you want. They don't care. Look what's going on in Gaza. If they're willing to continue to give $3 billion a year to Israel for genocide, you don't think that it will not be above them to continue to give money to criminals in power in Haiti in order to keep the area destabilized? You don't think that's exactly what they want?
we say it's enough. We need new leadership in Haiti. We need different governance that respects our human rights. This is unattainable. This is unbelievable. It is inadmissible. We do not want this, and we are into resistance mode. We are saying no. We do not want this, and the Biden administration will pay for some of this because there are 1.5 million Haitian in the United States, and they are beginning to threaten not to vote for Biden. So elections are decided by a few thousand votes. So 1.5 million Haitians, that means a lot. They must reverse course.
What does this sound like? What does this sound like to y'all? Does this sound like what happened in Michigan, especially in Dearborn, where all these people voted uncommitted in the Michigan primary, and they're threatening to not vote for Joe Biden in the general election because of the genocide that's going on in Gaza? You don't think that this won't have a bearing against Joe Biden with the Haitian people? Because guess what? They're going to do the same because of what's going on in Haiti. So, funding the genocide in Gaza, funding the genocide in Haiti, funding genocide in Congo by means of Uganda and Rwanda, right? So, now what? The thing is that it's all in Joe Biden's court, but we all know that he's just going to fumble it. He probably won't even know that the ball is in his hands.
Must.
Yeah, I'd like to bring in Jake Johnston, also the author of the new book, Eight State Elite Panic, Disaster Capitalism and the Battle to Control Haiti. Welcome, Jake Johnston. Your assessment of the situation right now in Haiti and the steps that need to be taken to restore some sense of safety to the population and an actual functioning government?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, I think when we look at Haiti, we have to understand some of the roots of what we're seeing today. And at the heart of this is a broken social contract, a state that is no longer representative of or accountable to the population, and has created the dynamics, the broader situation that has allowed this situation to spiral the way it has. And so when you look at how to address that, you have to start there. And I'd echo Monique's calls to focus on the political environment, right? We can't divorce insecurity from the political environment. And you look at what's happening. I mean, this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? The armed groups don't seize control, don't take this without at least some willingness or abandonment on a part of police hierarchy and government authorities. And so to begin with, there has to be an acceptance of responsibility. I think one of the most shocking things over the last 4 or 5 days has been the absolute total silence from the government, right? Ariel Henry is not even in the country. The state of emergency was announced by the Minister of Finance in a press release. And so there's really just, again, a total abandonment on the part of state authorities. And like Monique said, this is not a crisis entirely created in Haiti or by Haitians, right? We have to understand that this has been a long time coming, and it's been a process stoked and perpetuated by the international community, and namely the United States. We could go back to Haiti's history, to its founding, first independent Black republic, successful slave revolt, the U.S. occupation, but we don't need to go back that far into history to see this history of intervention. The 2004 coup d'etat, the overturning of election results in 2010, and the United States' insistence on moving forward with this current government against all odds and against the very clear expression from the Haitian people. And so unless that begins to change, it's extremely unlikely that the situation on the ground meaningfully improves.
Jake, I wanted to ask you about.
So he talks about the history. It's very interesting that we get that background information. And I'm not going to play the entire video, but I wanted to get up to that point. But let's go into this. So, like I said before, Ariel Henry is basically a U.S., French, and Canadian puppet. And his goal really is to keep the country destabilized in order to control it. In fact, it was brought out that the CIA facilitated a coup to have more pro-Western, pro-corporate government stooge in place. This was revealed by the Gray Zone. So we're going to share this part. Shout out to the Gray Zone for this as well. So this is out of the Gray Zone. Says secret cable, CIA orchestrated Haiti's 2004 coup. So this is by J.B. Sprague and Kit Clarenberg. So this came out a couple days ago. So we're just going to go over this a little bit. It says a classified diplomatic cable obtained by the Gray Zone reveals the role of a veteran CIA officer in violently overthrowing Haiti's popular president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, in 2004. It says a spectacular jailbreak in Gonaives, Haiti, in August of 2002 saw a bulldozer smash through the local prison walls, allowing armed supporters of Q A Métayer, a gang leader jailed weeks earlier for harassing Haitian political figures, to overturn the facility. Métayer escaped, and as did 158 other prisoners. Among them were perpetrators of the April 1994 Roboteau massacre, which left dozens of Haitians dead and displaced. The victims were supporters of the popular anti-imperialist president Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Documents released to the Gray Zone under FOIA, that's Freedom of Information Act, no doubt unintentionally revealed that the jailbreak was part of a complex U.S. intelligence operation aimed at undermining Aristide's presidency. At the heart of this operation was Janice L. Elmore, a CIA operative working undercover as the Department of State political officer in the Port-au-Prince U.S. Embassy at the time. The breakout set in motion a violent regime change campaign, which ultimately ousted Aristide from office on February 29th of 2004. After being deposed and flown to South Africa, Aristide claimed that he had been kidnapped by U.S. forces and directly accused Washington of orchestrating the plot. His nation quickly transformed into a despotic failed state as ruthless paramilitaries ran roughshod over the population. U.S. Marines and later UN troops were deployed to keep the peace, which in practice meant violently cracking down on not only armed anti-coup militants, but also outraged demonstrators and civilians. So a lot of what we see as happened back then, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And it's basically a lot of what we're seeing today, where it gets deeper. It gets deeper. So it says in 2022, the former French ambassador to Haiti admitted that France and the U.S. did, in fact, orchestrate the coup, which he acknowledged was probably due to Aristide's repeated demands that Haitians be returned the $21 billion in reparations they forcibly paid to their former slave masters in Paris since 1825. The former ambassador told the New York Times that with Aristide in exile, it made our job easier to undermine Haitians' demands for a refund. So, when it comes to the liberation of the Haitian people, Aristide was actually in favor of actual true liberation for his people. And the West said, oh, hell nah, you ain't getting shit. Because he was saying, you kept us in chains. You kept us enslaved. And then you forced us to pay you reparations for us ousting you, France, for enslaving us. Now we're saying, pay that money back, because we were never supposed to pay you that in the first place. And in fact, you're supposed to be paying us reparations for the slavery that you subjected us to for many, many years. And for that, they ousted Aristide via CIA coup. See what happens? Oh, baby. Let's continue. It says U.S. officials have repeatedly denied any involvement in Aristide's overthrow. Of course they are. They're not going to actually admit to it, claiming that they only intervened afterwards to restore order. But the secret diplomatic cable obtained by the Gray Zone tells a very different story. So, there go over this CIA operative, Miss Elmore. And so this goes over the details involving her as well. And so let's go to this part right here. Aristide exiled, supporters massacred in December 1990. 37-year-old charismatic Catholic priest Jean-Bertrand Aristide was elected by a landslide in Haiti's first ever democratic presidential election. Hang on. First of all, what does that remind you of? Doesn't that remind you of when Mohammad Mossadegh was installed as president in Iran? Or when Patrice Lumumba was elected as the first president of the Democratic Republic of Congo? Doesn't that remind you of that? Where it was sweeping, right? They really wanted this person democratically elected. Why did they want him? Let's get into it. Swept into office on a platform of democratization and national sovereignty, Aristide sought to enact a form of liberation theology, a Christian philosophy advocating freeing the downtrodden via revolution. So, somebody like him basically wanted to implement bottom-up policies for the proletariat while using his Christian theology as a means to do it. Basically, he sounds a lot like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If Martin Luther King Jr. used his theology and then actually got into politics to fight for workers, that's basically what Aristide was. Interesting, right? Huh. Let's continue. This gets deeper. But just 7 months after his inauguration, Aristide, I'm sorry, am I saying the name wrong? Aristide was marched at gunpoint from Port-au-Prince's presidential palace by members of Haiti's U.S.-trained armed forces and forced into exile. Over the next 3 years, the country was ruled by a brutal junta, and thousands were butchered by the army, police, and fascist paramilitaries. See what happens? See what happens when the West intervenes? This reminds me of when Salvador Allende was president in Chile, and then they ousted him through a coup, and they installed Pinochet, and then they murdered all those people. It's the same song, different dance. Every single time. Same song, different dance. This is, you know the playbook. The playbook goes the same way over and over and over. This is how they do it every single time. This is why I can literally, I'm not that educated in regards to this part of history like I should be. I'm working on it. But even I can recall these things of how the United States has engaged in coups in order to take over and place in a puppet government in order to have that area for themselves. It says this reign of terror reaches zenith on April 22nd, 1994, when the military and paramilitary forces attacked the strongly pro-Aristide neighborhood of Robato in Gonaives. Many residents have been participating in large-scale demonstrations demanding the return of their president ever since his removal. In a savage dawn raid, soldiers went house to house, beating and arresting residents, including children, while firing indiscriminately at passerby and those who attempted to flee. When the shooting stopped, at least 30 locals were dead. Roboto was far from the only massacre carried out by Haiti's military junta during Aristide's exile, but it did produce the very first trial for crimes against humanity in the country's history. In September 2000, 53 out of 59 defendants were convicted of mass murder for their role in the violence. Among them were the 1991 coup leaders found guilty in absentia. And the New York Times reported at the time the trial was a landmark for Haiti and a step in the bringing to justice the elite tier of military and paramilitary officers and their cohorts for human rights abuses committed during the period of violent military rule after the overthrow of the former president. It says, under mounting public pressure at home and across the Caribbean, Washington committed to returning Aristide's elected government on October 15, 1994. To ensure this, over 20,000 U.S. troops briefly occupied the country alongside a small contingent from CARICOM, or Caribbean Command. The return of the elected government brought an end to the massacres. The Aristide government was finally able to begin reforming the police and disbanding the country's notoriously repressive army while launching school construction projects and other programs benefiting the poor. So as soon as they brought Aristide back, it was like, all right, let's let the good times roll. Building schools, programs for the poor. See what happens? And that was because of public pressure, right? So it says these projects continue after Aristide's successor, René Prévost, won the presidency in 96. Though Prévost disappointed many of the popular movement supporters after appearing to embrace privatization, it seemed the country would be back on track when Aristide secured the nearly 92% of the votes in a landslide election and was returned to office in 2001. Wait, beep, back up the truck. Who do you know gets 92% of the vote? 92%? Who gets that? This dude was popular. 92%. The whole damn country wanted him back. But here's the crappy part. It says within months, however, U.S. President George W. Bush, W himself, imposed crippling sanctions on Haiti, moving to freeze the World Bank and IMF loans. See, the World Bank and IMF, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, while blocking Port-au-Prince from U.S. aid and development assistance. Washington justified the destructive measures by claiming there was irregularities in the election, pointing to figures in the country's opposition who boycotted the vote. Yet, polls show voters strongly supported Aristide and rejected the boycott. So basically, they were like, well, we're going to punish your country all because we don't think that your election was legitimate, despite polls showing otherwise. Why? Because they did not want somebody like Aristide to be a leader in Haiti. Remind you of how the West treated Gaza after they voted in Hamas to be the government in Gaza? You see, they facilitated that election. The West facilitated that election to happen. But then when the Palestinians voted in a way that the West didn't like, then guess what? That's when it was like, okay, get into the open air prison. Get in there. Because you voted the way we didn't want you to. Even though you used your voice, even though you did everything democratically, we don't believe it. We don't believe it. We don't like it. Oh, we want you to vote democratically. Not like that. That's basically what happened. See how it is? They thought that the people were going to support them, but it wasn't that way. They wanted full democracy and democratization. Says undeterred, Aristide's government quickly set about mobilizing the poor, fostering neighborhood truces, bolstering healthcare and education systems, doubling the minimum wage, while holding accountable paramilitaries and their financiers. The president also reestablished diplomatic ties with Cuba, paving the way for the deployment of Cuban medical brigades to Haiti. This was a big fat no-no to the West. They said, oh, hell nah. He's doing the stuff that Castro would have done. You see now? This is the background. This is why. This is how this is part of the dialectical materialism that we got to see. We got to see where Haiti has been in order to know why Haiti is going through what it's going through right now. Because guess what? This is exactly why Haiti is in the position that it's in. It is not necessarily because, oh, well, they can't pick good leaders. Well, as if black people can't pick good leaders. Get the fuck out of here with that BS. That it is the most it's the most paternalistic BS I hear. That we don't know what we're doing. We can't choose for ourselves. They're always taking away our autonomy as black people throughout the entire diaspora. And it's typically because they will replace who we have with some type of puppet. And then when the area stays destabilized because of them, they just chalk it up to, oh, well, they just don't know how to pick their leaders correctly. Those black people in Africa, those black people in the Caribbean, oh, they just don't know what they're doing. When in reality, who was the ones that put that dictator in place? Who was the one that put that puppet in place? It wasn't us. It wasn't the Haitian people. It wasn't the people in Niger. It wasn't the people in Burkina Faso. It wasn't the people in Democratic Republic of Congo. It wasn't the people in Rwanda. It wasn't the people in Uganda. It wasn't the people in Ethiopia. It was not us. It's always the West getting their nasty ass, grubby little hands in our business in order to steal and take our resources because they know we're rich. They know we're rich, but they don't want us to know it. That pisses me off. They chose their leader. And they chose somebody that was actually for the poor. They chose Aristide, and the United States didn't like it. And what did the United States do and the collective West do? They decided for black people instead of letting us decide for ourselves. And they did it to all of these countries that are majority black. And not just majority black. They do it to majority Asian countries. They do it to majority Latino countries or South American countries too. They do it to them too. They do it to the indigenous countries. Why? Because a lot of these countries have what we like to call resources. All right, so let's continue. Though popular among average Haitians, the programs were seen as dire political threat by local opposition figures and their backers in Washington. See? The puppets didn't like it because they knew Aristide was too popular. He was too good. Since the Bush administration embraced the development assistance embargo, which successfully pressured most NGOs and other governments to cut off aid, and the National Endowment for Democracy, those dipshits, a U.S. intelligence cutout established to influence elections abroad, began organizing disunited opposition parties into a single umbrella group under the guise of democracy promotion. Soon enough, a violent paramilitary campaign erupted, targeting government infrastructure in Port-au-Prince before spreading to rural areas which strongly supported Levelas, a movement associated with Aristide. Amid the tumult, the spectacular jailbreak was carried out in Gonaives in August of 2002, and Medier was freed alongside dozens of paramilitaries and anti-government gangsters. So, this article also goes over how the CIA really implemented and chose Haiti's government, including in the drug trade, by the way. So it goes over that. I highly encourage you guys to read this article. And so you guys go ahead and take a look at this article once you guys get free time. But I said all that primarily because that's really the history of how Haiti has been implemented as far as the puppet governments, right? So I put the link in the chat, by the way. So as we can see, nothing new has changed. But what about the gangs that are fighting against the government, right? What are they trying to achieve? So I'm going to give a shout out to journalist Dan Cohen. He gave some great analysis and reporting. So I'm going to share that as well, because a lot of people do not know. People think, oh, just gangs, and they just say gangs blanket in general, when in reality, they're saying gangs, but ultimately it's not always cracked up to be, because one side is a gang and another side is called a gang, but really I would say it's an organization. So let's take a look. So this gentleman was mentioned on Democracy Now! Let's get into it. So this is from Dan Cohen. He says the U.S. government and its media apparatus are telling you Haiti has a gang problem that demands foreign military intervention. It's true. There is a problem with criminal gangs that kidnap, terrorize, and murder innocent people. What they don't tell you is that these criminal gangs are creations of the system supported by the U.S.-backed oligarchs. Now, remember what that lady said on Democracy Now! Remember what she said, Monique? She was talking about how they are basically implemented by the Western governments, by the Western powers, right? And Ariel Henry is also doing the same thing as well by implementing these gangs. And because he's implementing these gangs, that's causing a destabilization, which means he's creating a situation where the U.S. government and the West have to send in troops now in order to keep the peace, in order to keep the order within Haiti. It's a creation of a crisis. Remember Lion King? Right? Where Scar put Simba in the middle of that little valley. And way up on that cliff, what were there? All those wildebeests were there. Then what happened? The hyenas started snapping at the wildebeest, trying to chase them, and the wildebeest came down into the valley. And it placed Simba in danger. And then what happened? Scar goes to his father, Mufasa, and goes, Simba, he's in danger. Mufasa's like, what? The wildebeest, they're going to crush him. They both go. And we all know what happened in that movie. Spoiler alert. Because it was really to kill Simba as well as Mufasa by means of the wildebeests. But it didn't work. Because Mufasa's him. Mufasa was like, I'm him. I'm saving my boy. And I'm gonna make it out alive. But as he was up there, he said, Scar, brother. And then Scar did what he did. Boom. Long live the king. And then let him go. He fell. The fall probably was what killed Mufasa. But on top of that, the wildebeest, trampling over him probably didn't help. But that was basically creating a situation in order to cause destabilization. It's the same thing where it's going on right now. Funding the gangs to destabilize the area so that you can cause the West to bring in their troops to basically have an iron fist in all of Haiti. Am I showing my age with that Lion King reference? I probably am. Anywho, so yes. Now, let's continue. Oop. Okay. Says what they don't tell you is that these criminal-backed gangs are creations of the system supported by the U.S.-backed oligarchs. They also don't tell you that their invasion is targeted against the only figure fighting against those criminal gangs, Jimmy Barbecue Cherizel, leader of the G9 Anti-Crime Federation. Now, that's what's going on right now, right? And I'll finish the rest of that tweet in a second. But they don't like that Barbecue, as he's affectionately called, is actually fighting against the Ariel Henry regime. They don't like that. The West does not like that. So it's Barbecue's gang, really organization, versus the gangs that are being upheld by Ariel Henry. See what's going on? Now, let me share with you guys this. It gets deep. All right. So, who is Jimmy Barbecue Cherizer? So, I'm going to share this with you. I shared this 7 months ago, but I'm going to share it again, and then we'll get back to what else he said. Because I want you guys to see why they see this particular man as a threat in Haiti. TLDR, he reminds you of Eddystad. That's why. Let's get into it. All right. So it says, just a reminder, these are the people that Kenyan police will interact with while in Haiti. So let me share this. It says this is one of Haiti's most powerful gang leaders. They keep calling him a gang leader. I wonder why. And yes, he also is a former police officer. It says running the G9 an alliance of gangs fighting other gangs. So they're fighting for control of the capital. Zero says some gangs are backed by politicians and business leaders. What did we say earlier? That was said by Miss Monique on Democracy Now! That was also brought up by Dan Cohen. That's also being brought out by Cherizer. That the gangs are also being backed by business leaders and politicians in Haiti to keep the area destabilized. Do not let your eyes off these damn people. That's who they are. Now, let's continue.
It's unfortunate we have to call some Haitians enemies, but the Haitian oligarchs and politicians give them guns and ammunition to destroy our communities.
It says Cherizer has been accused of human rights violations and killing civilians and has been hit with UN sanctions. Now, I want to ask you this. When it comes to the Viet Cong, when it comes to the Palestinian resistance, aren't they also accused of a lot of the same things? Was it Fidel Castro and the rebels in Cuba, the revolutionaries, weren't they accused of the same things? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Let's continue. He insists he's fighting to help provide security and basic services to the people left behind by the government. Sounds like some people I know.
There's a difference between a gang and an armed group. We have an ideology. We have a vision to see Haiti with all the services, with drinkable water, schools, jobs, and with security.
So he basically said, essentially, they're not a gang, but they keep calling them that. Why? Because there's a negative connotation with calling black people gangs, because they could do the same thing with Hamas. They can be like, well, that's a gang. They can do the same thing with the Viet Cong. That's a gang. They can do the same thing with the, with when Cuba went through the revolution. They can call them a gang, but it's always when you look like this, it's like, oh, well, they're organized. Let's just call them a gang. So you see the racism there too? Racism all up in there too. Let's continue. Gang violence has consumed Haiti for the past 2 years. Says since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, have been fighting for control. Says the country's prime minister has asked for international assistance to fight the gangs.
The PM's not asking for foreign troops to come to the country. They want foreign forces to protect them from the crimes they have committed. Several times the UN's intervened in Haiti, and you see that the result is always zero.
Mm-hmm. It says in the past few weeks, people have turned against the gangs in the country. Now called the new movement, Wakele. Cherizer says he supports them and that the time has come. So if they are getting rid of the gangs, if the people are getting rid of the gangs, and Shetty Zale is basically saying, I support that, then is he part of the gangs? JB, the answer will be no. Because Shetty Zale is literally saying, oh no, I support the people. Yeah, get rid of these gangs. Which means he's not. Which means he's not part of the gang. He's not with them. Which means that his organization isn't a gang. Meaning, it's actually an organization. Lord, y'all about to. I'm telling you, man. It's for people to fight back. So that's who Shetty Zale is. Now, I want to finish this tweet. Hang on. So that's who Jimmy Shetty Zale is, also affectionately known as Barbecue. So, who does he sound like? Is he just some gang leader that's trying to rule the nation with an iron fist to dominate it? Or is he an organization leader trying to put the power back into people's hands? Now, let's go back to what Dan Cohen was talking about, because I think this is really important, because I want you guys to see and hear what Jimmy Shetty Zale was saying. Now, I'm going to finish this tweet by Dan Cohen. So, it says, watch him speak to the huge crowd of supporters about how the ruling class exploits the poor masses. Unlike Shetty Zale, U.S. puppet Ariel is reviled by the people. He can't appear in public, let alone draw a crowd of hundreds of or thousands like Shetty Zale. This is the enemy number one of the U.S. empire in Haiti. Anti-imperialists must resist war propaganda promoted through mass media and defend him and Haitian sovereignty. So, I want you guys to hear what he has to say. I'm going to read what he says, and then we'll discuss. He says, let's look at the two Haitis, one on top, one on the bottom. Those people will keep us in slavery for 10 or 20 more years. So their children will be the ministers, director general, president, senators, and big entrepreneurs. Hang on. What? Who is that sound? Wait, who does that sound like? What does that sound like to you? Well, what have we been saying for a while in regards to our politicians in this country? Says, meanwhile, we still have nothing. They'll still need us to go burn tires and do violent demonstrations for them. See, that's the mental revolution that must precede the armed revolution. So basically, essentially, they want them to burn tires and do violent revolts so that they, especially the Western corporate media, can go, see, look at all the violence. We have to put our troops there. We have to send our guys, our boots on the ground there so that we can restore order to that country. Don't you want order to be restored to Haiti? Meanwhile, they're the ones that are sending the weapons to these puppets to fund these gangs that are committing violence in the streets. And yet you have people like the G9 under Jimmy Cherizel that are saying, absolutely not. You guys are not going to continue to destabilize this country, and we're going to restore the things that the people need, like education and water and food and all these things that the people really need. But the West doesn't want that. That's what the revolutionary forces of the G9 will do, which scares them and makes them call us bandits. He said it's time to make a difference between gangs, bandits, and people making revolution. So that's what he is saying. Does he actually sound like a gang leader? Or as I think it was First Post said, they said he was a mafia leader. Does he sound like one of those? Now, I want to share this as well, because Dan Cohen says this too. Dan Cohen says that clip is an excerpt from Another Vision, a documentary that Kim Ives and I made exposing the U.S. propaganda apparatus has invented massacres and blames Cherizel to pave the way for the looming invasion. These massacres are Haiti's version of Iraqi WMDs or Syrian chemical weapons attacks, but have been accepted at face value by many anti-imperialist groups. Our work debunking them has been ignored by these groups and prominent anti-war news outlets. Resist war propaganda. Watch the documentary series and get the correct information before it's too late. Now, I'm going to be watching this documentary when I get a chance, but I am going to share the link to that documentary in the chat so that you guys have access to it. So there's a documentary there, so you guys can watch it. It's on YouTube. So you guys have that Gray Zone article and you guys have the documentary. I'm going to have to give that documentary a watch because that actually goes even deeper into the imperialism of the West and in meddling with Haiti. And I think that's really important that we get that historical analysis in as well. So, always look at the geopolitical issues by following the money and look at it from an anti-imperialist lens. Of course, the US, Canada, and Haiti has this grubby little hands in Haiti as they want to keep control, especially of the people. And, you know, they want to control the people because the people favor more nationalization of resources, and they also favor sovereignty over their country. But as we know, The West doesn't want that because they want to keep the resources for themselves. This is no different than the goals of the U.S. in regards to Cuba, Democratic Republic of Congo, Palestine, Hawaii, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, etc., etc., etc. This is why it is important to, when we say things like free Palestine, we're also saying things like free Congo, free Sudan, free Tigray, free Haiti, free Hawaii, right? This is why we say things like this, because ultimately the freedom is being held back by Western imperialist powers. That's ultimately what they want to do. Yes, Jeffrey. Imperialist mofos. Basically. And that's exactly what they try to do. And so when people talk about, oh, well, we just need to send troops. No. No troops. It's just like with Edna Mode and the Incredibles, no capes, no troops. No. In fact, the U.S. needs to get its grubby little hands out of Haiti and let the Haitian people determine for themselves what they want. And if that means ousting somebody like Ariel Henry, then, well, I guess he's going to kick rocks. If that's what the people want, then damn it, let the people have what they want. But you know the West doesn't want to do that. This is why paying attention to movements that are trying to pressure the U.S. government and to bring this into everybody's attention, this is why it's important. Talking about Haiti is not a sexy subject, especially right now what's going on in Palestine, because everybody's talking about Palestine, which rightfully so. You need to keep talking about Palestine. But I want you also to talk about Sudan, Congo, right? Haiti. I'm going to try to do some research into Tigray. I want to do some research into them as well. But make sure to always try to keep talking about these countries. Why? Because the U.S., by extension of the West, always wants to try to take over the resources of these countries and then undermine the will of the people. And as people like myself, and I know you that are watching, you stand with the people. So, do not stop talking about Palestine. Start talking about Haiti. Start talking about Congo. Start talking about Sudan. Start talking about Ethiopia. And there's so many other countries out there that we can start talking about. And add that along with what you're talking about Palestine. And let's together start educating ourselves on what's going on in these countries so that we know what's really going on. And as always, follow the money. Did you like the stream? Go ahead and give the stream a like. That pushes me out into the algorithm. Thank you so very much to all of you for that as well. And if you guys have not, then you guys can also subscribe to my Substack at jaybefaunt.substack.com. All right. Also, while I still have you here, I want to talk about something really quick. There is an emergency that a comrade is going through. I want to make sure that I put this out there too, because she's going through it. Not sure if she's watching, but I do want to make sure I get this in here as well. So I'm going to share this tweet really quick. So we have a comrade that is without water. She's been without water for a while now, and if we can give her some help, then that would be greatly appreciated. Unfortunately, she doesn't have water to wash her, dishes with. She doesn't have water to flush her toilet with. She doesn't have water to take showers with. We all know that water is deeply important to human survival, and people should not be without water. And so she's here locally here in Orlando. So this is a mutual aid alert. Her past due balance is $783.27. She has no water to drink, keep clean, or flush her toilet. If anyone can help, please donate or share. Her bill is shown here. And just so that you guys see, yes, this is her, balance $783.27. The total amount due is $1,133.27. So if we can at all, send a few dollars her way so that she can pay this, because it's either this or pay her rent. And if she doesn't pay her rent, she's out of a home, period. And so if any of you can contribute to that, then that would be great to help her out. I'm going to share the links to her Venmo and to her PayPal in the chat as well. So copy, and then so that, and then also her PayPal. Make sure I get this. Quantum Alchemist says, is there any way without PayPal or card? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want, that's the thing. I want it to be sent directly to her. I don't want it to be sent to myself. Because yeah, it's just too, it goes into too many hands, and I'd rather just go straight to her to pay her bill. So, but yeah. So if you guys can help out with her and with her situation, it's very much appreciated. She's going through a lot right now. So shout out to you. All right. So all one same. Yeah, that's her. In fact, actually, let me share it. Let me share it on screen again. Because she actually put her Venmo, she actually wrote it down on the bill itself. So, hang on. Oop. So if you guys can see here in green, that's her Venmo and that's her PayPal. I asked her to put these there so that I can put it there. And I just told her to black out her name and address for, obvious reasons. She has her name and address blocked out because, people can harass and things like that. So I don't want her to be harassed or anything like that. So, and yes, Cobra Commander, only humans could live on a planet with 80% water and think salt reactions is bad and water should be profitable. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Now, let's go to the chat and let's talk about the story. So, let me see. All right, so let me go to the chat here in the Rockman. The Rockman. I'm a robin. Yes, I am. Wait, hold on. Oh, chat. All right. So thank you for the tip, Roger. He says, I have a bonus story for you on direct message if you like. Bonus story? Are you trying to keep me on the air, Roger? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to keep a brother on here past my time? Oh man, Roger be keeping me up on here. Oh wait, okay. So I'll get to that in a second. Roger says Marshall Mercado says what is happening in Haiti is a revolution processor. It looks like nationalistic characteristic. They refuse legitimate of President Puppet Henry. There is a name, Guy Philippe, as a new Haitian president. Interesting. Let's go into here. All right. Cobra Commander says he's the only good cop to ever live. Yeah, because he's a former cop. He's not a cop anymore. Interesting. Ooh, Mastermind Hour. Tell me. Because I can't think of anything more cynical than a deep state using minorities to sugarcoat their 1% agenda. Yup. Absolutely. Kurt Boss says, divide and conquer. They'll do it with two parties and two gangs. Yes. Yes. The Quantum Alchemist says, intervention. Boom. Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to get Dan Cohen on. Dan is also really cool. Really good journalist. I would like to have him on to talk about some of these things that are happening. I wish I could have had him on today to talk about this, but alas, he's busy and has a lot of things going on. So, but ultimately, we'll get it. Jack Hemming says it's funny how regime change is always implemented for reasons of democracy, but the new regime is always oppresses the people, right? That's basically how it happens every single time. Black Unit Griffin says, you okay, JB? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. Butto Smoka says Cohen is good on Haiti news. Duly noted. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm trying to get him on. I'm trying to look for people who haven't commented yet. All Insane says Guatemala. Yeah, they look. You can keep naming countries when it comes to U.S. Regime change intervention. It's always going to apply. And so, yes, this is another good one. All Insane. I almost called you Guatemala. I'm sorry. All Insane. Thank you very much for adding. Yes, you're right. Good to see you, Rando, online. Nice to have you. All right. Yep. Ghost Nest says same playbook. Yep. Javier says, don't forget that the Dominican Republic has serious racism issue with Haitians. Yeah, you know what? And the thing is like a lot of people will tell you well, no, we don't have a racism issue, and I've been seeing a lot of Latinos talk about how it is, the casta system, the caste system that they have that was implemented, that was implemented through the European regimes that took over or that basically subjected the indigenous people in those areas and in places like Haiti, Dominican Republic, the caste system in Puerto Rico, Cuba, caste system in places like Bolivia or Colombia or Brazil. It's always a caste system. And the darker you are, the lower you are on that hierarchy. So yeah, and it continues even down to this day. All right. So thank you very much for that. Let me see. Robbie says long show today. It wasn't intended. I was actually intending on being done a while back, but I was doing Q&A at the beginning. So, and then this story takes some time. So, but yeah. I'm glad that everybody's able to stick it out with me. Robert Erickson says, thanks for talking about Haiti. You're very welcome. And thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for the support. Oh my God, Mastermind Hour. See, this is why I love my community, because you guys will do some jokes that something I will think of. And then when y'all do it, it just puts a smile across my face. I just love y'all. Mastermind Hour says the U.S. wants to install a Port-au-Prince of Bel Air. Now this was a story all about how, oh, never mind. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys are great. I love you. Let me see. Mastermind Hour says, JB, when are you going to be on Beyond the Art Politics? Never heard of them. But I'm willing to go on different shows. So, yeah. Is that your Mastermind Hour? Do you have a channel called that? Because just send me an email and I'm there. I got one little coup and my mom got scared. Oh gosh, don't you guys start. You guys are making me laugh and I'm not trying to laugh. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Thank you very much, Mastermind Hour. Appreciate it. All right. So, am I coming through on Rumble, guys? Because I don't know. I think I am. Oh yeah, I got people watching. Well, no, shit. Okay. Good to see you. If you're in the chat, salutations. All right. So, what are you talking about, Roger? Because Roger's like, I got an extra story. I wasn't planning on an extra story, bro. Roger's trying to get me to do extra editing tonight. You know what the problem is? Roger be giving me some good stories too. Yeah, hate. Wait, what? Oh yeah, that AOC thing was that AOC thing was crazy. She does not like that people are saying that she supports genocide. But hey, truth hurts, baby. Oh, what's this? Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait. Roger, you guys want to stick around for this with me? Because this looks really interesting that Roger sent me. Can you guys stick around just for a couple minutes? Because this, I only heard like the first 5 seconds. All right. Okay. All right. I guess we're doing another segment. Okay. Roger just sent me this. I'm going to watch it and then I'm going to react to it. I have not seen this yet. Okay. But this looks really interesting. All right, Roger. Let's take a look. Let me share my screen. Oh, geez. The title of this, 10 million names, and ABC News explore recordings of formerly enslaved individuals. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's go.
Audio recordings of interviews conducted with formerly enslaved Black Americans is shedding new light on the brutality of slavery and racial injustice in America.
Yeah, and ABC's Alex Perche learned more about these recordings from two key scholars of the ambitious 10 Million Names Project. And a warning here, of course, the subject matter is upsetting.
I want you to tell me how you got your name. I got my name from President Jeff Davis, the President of the Southern Confederacy. He owned my grandfather and my father. My grandfather was a blacksmith, and my father had learned how to write a little bit in Richmond, Virginia before he brought him down there.
You're listening to the voice of a formerly enslaved American, a man by the name of George Johnson. This rare and historic audio interview was recorded in 1941, almost 80 years after Mr. Johnson gained his freedom. He and his family worked on a plantation in Virginia owned by Confederate leader Jefferson Davis, a staunch opponent of abolition. In the interview, Johnson recalls a day in the life as an enslaved person.
Did they drive the slaves down there in Davis's Bend very hard, or did they work them reasonable? Reasonable. You know, Master Joe gave my just another boy, and boy was chopping cotton. Boy didn't kill with the gang, you understand? He come to hook boy kill, you understand? That's the house of Master Joe boy. Yeah, that's what it's told, son. Say, Mr. Don't hook me, because I would kill with the gang.
Audio tape interviews like this are striking and uncommon, but are actually part of a long legacy of Black families, communities, and institutions, including historically Black colleges and universities, that lead the way in collecting and preserving the oral histories of the formerly enslaved people in the 19th and 20th centuries. In the 1930s and beyond, technology allowed some of these interviews to be recorded as part of both federal and independent projects. Do we know roughly how many of these recordings exist?
The recordings are relatively rare, but the recordings come from a much larger and really important and in many ways unsung collecting effort.
In 1974, a woman named...
Ooh, boy. This goes to what we were talking about on Saturday in regards to reparations. Some of those people were still alive. Oh my God, we shouldn't be paying reparations to people who weren't slaves. Well, you guys had the opportunity to do it then. You guys still didn't.
named Celia Black, at the age of 114 years old and shortly before her death, recalled picking cotton in Texas as a child born into slavery.
I didn't have to pick cotton or nothing. I didn't do nothing but work in the field. Work in the field, or goodness. Me, my husband would go out west to pick cotton, go out west every year. We've been this year going out there picking cotton.
One of the things that kind of struck me, you have an interview recorded in 1974. For some Black Americans, I mean, they're one generation removed from slavery.
In some ways, we think of slavery as ancient history. We think of it as something that happened a very long time ago to people we couldn't possibly have known.
Dr. Kendra.
That's also very true, because even though the Civil War technically ended slavery still, everything hasn't ended, but technically it was ended in 1865. A lot of plantations and enslaved people did not know they were free until many years later. This is why Juneteenth exists, because many people didn't find out until months or years later that they were actually free. Hell, my comrade from RBN, Rome, his grandmother was a slave. Rome's only, what, 32? Yup. So when it comes to people talking about slavery, for a lot of us Black Americans that are descendants of slaves in this country, we're not that far removed from it. That's also why a lot of Black people move north. Let's continue.
Kendra Field, chief historian of the 10 Million Names Project, and Harvard professor Vincent Brown explained how these recordings illustrate an enormous preservation effort. The firsthand accounts shedding light on the darkest chapters in our American history, yet also revealing incredible African-American strength and survival.
Didn't you have some entertainment doing a dancing or anything? Oh, I used to dance, but I don't do it now. No, I don't dance now. I try my best to serve my master. I'm trying my best to serve my Heavenly Father.
You hear these recordings.
You hear what she said? I tried my best to serve my master. Then she said, I tried my best to serve my Heavenly Father. Did you know that there was a slave version of the Holy Bible that was given to the enslaved Africans in this country? You didn't know that, did you? And the parts that were taken out of the slave Bible are especially in the book of Exodus, where when Moses was telling Pharaoh to let his people go. That was actually taken out of the Bible, of the slave Bible. Anything about liberation or freeing yourself or being freed from bondage was actually taken out of the slave Bible. So to a lot of the people who are enslaved of our ancestors, they were indoctrinated to think that that was the natural order of things, that white men were especially over you, that white women were over you. That's how we were indoctrinated to think. Just like how we're indoctrinated to think that there's only two parties and there's nothing else that can be done. Just like we're indoctrinated to think that, well, capitalism is the only system and we can't do anything beyond capitalism. The same way that we're indoctrinated with these things, they were indoctrinated to think that all white people were over them. That it was God's will. That's right. Let's continue.
You hear these recordings. What were the emotions when you hear, the recollections of Celia Black?
First is just the miracle of her survival. It's just that I'm actually hearing this person who had been enslaved. That's kind of a miracle.
With the help of the 10 Million Names genealogist, we were able to find the direct descendants of Celia Black. Yeah. In Rhode Island, we met 68-year-old Curtis Royal, who spent time with her as a young man.
She's my great-grandmother from my mother's side of the family.
Do you remember any of the stories that she would tell?
She told us about how difficult it was, just being alive during that period.
We had a chance to know your great-grandmother.
Yes.
How powerful is it being able to connect that dot?
It's extremely powerful. You got to hear it from her directly. Not something that was passed on, but to hear it directly from her pain.
Wow, that firsthand testimony.
Unbelievable. And I don't need to tell you, those firsthand accounts are just so important in connecting us to all of our ancestors and our collective American history. Of course, thank you, Alex, for that moving report. But to hear those audio recordings.
And as they said, every voice is a miracle in that situation. And to learn more, scan the QR.
So yes. I think my fourth and fifth great grandfathers were both enslaved. Yeah. So that's where I got my last name from. Me and my cousins, we are the first ones in our generation that were born with full rights in this country. Chattel slavery was a beast. And this goes in line with what I was talking about in Haiti. The Haitian people, man, they actually kicked out their enslavers. And yet now, the West came back with a vengeance because they still want the land and the people to be subject to them. Thanks a lot for that, Roger. Appreciate it very much. All right. You know what to do. All right, let's go to the chat really quick. Says they were in ISC with slave labor until 1950. Now it's prison migrant labor. Yeah. Derek Quantum Alchemist says that's unfortunately a slave mentality. Yeah. John H says slave religion. Yep. Wesley says abolition with exception is no abolition at all, merely a transfer from private to public ownership. Absolutely. Yep. Quantum Alchemist says, I recall a comrade of mine, Eric or Shango, having mentioned that once, but yeah, I forgot the detail. Okay. Wow. Roger Meadow says, I would never waste your precious time. No, you weren't wasting my time. This was deep, to say the least. But yeah, this kind of goes along with what we were talking about on Saturday in regards to reparations. You know, this is important that people see things like this. Cole Commander says you can find newspapers from World War II with interviews from German POWs talking about what experience on cotton slave plantations in the South. Yep. So let me check the rock. Make sure. How do I have two Rockfin tabs open? Why do I have two? I'm not supposed to have two open. Okay. All right. So Rockfin's good. Okay. So it is time for JP to head on out because I've been in here for a while. I did not want to be. I think I have a meeting a little bit later, so I'm gonna head on out. Everybody, stay tuned as well because I will be getting into the reading further of Chapter 7 of Laziness Does Not Exist by Dr. Devon Price. So we'll continue in that. Also, we're going to continue in the reading of The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity, and Love. So we're going to continue in that. And then also continuing the reading of Water and the Spirit, Ritual, Magic, and the Initiation in the Life of an African Shaman. We're going to continue the readings of that for later this week as well. So please make sure to stay tuned for that too. As well, in addition to and furthermore, yes, I will be live this Saturday. I will be having a guest on to talk about news stories. That's what we're going to be doing. So can't wait for that. And be sure to tune in. I think I'm going to do a reading this. I think I'm going to do a live reading this Thursday. The reason being is because I typically do the Sabby and JB show on RBN, but it's her birthday week, so she won't be nowhere near a camera. So I will be going live on Thursday evening. So I'll probably end up just doing a live reading if you guys want to tune in for that. So yeah, we'll have that ready for you so that we can read and discuss. So yeah, that'll be great. I'll probably yeah, and in turn, I think it's The Will to Change. I think is the next one. So we'll tune in for that. And then we'll be doing a live stream this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to be talking about some news stories there as well. So now, just to let you guys know, I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Look, like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves. Leave the world better than you found them. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them. If you didn't got them, then watch something funny and hilarious because joy is revolutionary. But always remember that when the West says something bad about something or someone from the global South, always look deeper. Don't trust the narrative because a lot of times they have nefarious reasons as to why they're telling you, oh, this person's bad. Never accept what they say at face value. Take massive, gargantuan grains of salt before you look into it and say, oh, yeah, they're correct about it. Okay? And with that being said, I will see you. Forehead kisses to every single one of you. Because why? Because you matter always. And I love you for watching. Take care. And deuces, Bruces. Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.